From thousands of years ago, humanity has pondered profound questions. Who created the world? Why do life and death exist? Is there something that transcends human existence? These mysterious and inquisitive questions were the seeds that gave birth to religion. Religion, in its most basic sense, is a deep belief in one or more supernatural beings, or a philosophical system that guides people in understanding the universe, life, and their role in the world. Regardless of form, whether polytheistic, monotheistic, or systems without deities that simply follow the teachings of sages, religion has always been a red thread woven through the tapestry of human civilization. If the world had only 100 people, 85 of them would follow some form of belief. That alone shows the immense power and deep influence of religion, despite the rapid advancement of science and technology. So where did the journey of religion begin? Before 3000 BCE, humans lived in small communities, hunting and gathering. They were surrounded by inexplicable natural phenomena. Thunderstorms, rain, the full moon, solar eclipses. With their innate curiosity, they began crafting the earliest explanations for the universe and existence, and so primitive belief systems were born. In southern Africa, San communities believed in three realms: the spirit world above, the underworld below, and humans trapped in between. They prayed to the stars for protection during hunts. In ancient Japan, the Ainu believed that every object had a soul, from grass and rocks to wind and rain. It was a world where divine spirits dwelled in all things. They sang and offered rituals to ask for blessings from these invisible gods. In the Nordic regions, the Sami believed that shamans called Noiti could leave their physical bodies, travel to other realms, communicate with spirits, and heal the sick. A Maori legend from New Zealand tells of a hero named Maui who tried to defeat death by sneaking into her sleep. He hoped that by killing death itself, humans could live forever. But Maui failed, and from that moment, death became an unavoidable destiny. The spiritual beliefs of Australian Aboriginals are even more unique. They believe the world was not created at a specific moment in time, but is continuously being shaped every day, every hour. Every action, every ritual, every story they tell is an extension of the dream time, the sacred era when gods formed the world and left their divine essence blended into the land and sky. The Inca of South America believed that the souls of ancestors did not leave the earthly realm, but lived on in the land. Thus, every bountiful harvest was the result of sacred prayers offered to the departed forefathers. In Central America, the Maya believed that blood was the supreme source of life. They told of gods who shed their own blood to create humankind, and in return, humans had a duty to repay, through blood sacrifice, a cycle of reciprocity between the divine and humanity. Meanwhile, on the vast plains of North America, the Ponca people believed that the sky was the father, the earth was the mother, and life was the sacred connection between these two eternal sources. Every house they built was shaped like an inverted mound of earth, symbolically inviting the creators to dwell among them. From 3000 BCE to the 5th century CE, as humans began to settle, farm, and build the first cities, indigenous beliefs gradually evolved into more defined and complex religious systems. This was the era when deities no longer existed solely within nature, but were personified, given names, powers, myths, and maintained close relationships with humans. Religion was no longer just a whisper in the jungle or beside a fire at night. It became a state religion, an integral part of political and social structures. Temples, priests, and divine laws began to emerge, laying the groundwork for the great religions that would later shape the world. Not all religions originated from powerful deities. Some belief systems were born from the teachings of sages, figures who, though not gods, planted the seeds of spirituality in the human soul. They did not preach through thunder or miracles, but through reason, ethics, and a philosophy of harmonious living between people and between humans and the universe. The ancient era was a critically important milestone in the history of religion. It was during this time that many of the major organized religions we know today were formed. From fertile riverbanks to harsh highlands, faith became the spirit of civilization. One of humanity's earliest great civilizations was Sumer, located in fertile Mesopotamia, the cradle of writing and law. Around 2300 BCE, the Sumerians developed a complex polytheistic system with deities such as Enki, the god of water and wisdom, and Anu, the sky god, who held supreme authority. When the Babylonians conquered Sumer, they did not destroy the old beliefs but absorbed and reinterpreted them as their own. They created the creation epic Enuma Elish, which tells the story of the god Marduk, son of the water god. Enki, who defeated Tiamat, the goddess of chaos, then reordered the universe and became the lord of all gods. This tale was not just mythology, it was a symbolic assertion of Babylon's political dominance, a myth to justify power. In the Nile River Valley around 2000 BCE, the glorious Egyptian civilization flourished with a belief system centered around death, or more precisely, eternal life after death. To the Egyptians, death was not the end, but a gateway to a new journey. Pharaohs and nobles were mummified and buried with countless artifacts and magical items so that their souls could pass into the afterlife. The dead would be guided by Anubis, the jackal-headed god, to the grand hall of judgment in the underworld. There their heart would be placed on a scale weighed against a feather, the symbol of truth and purity. If the heart was heavier, the soul would be devoured by a monstrous beast. If balanced, they could enter the afterlife ruled by Osiris, the lord of the underworld and the eternal realm. In the frigid northern hemisphere, the Vikings, famed warriors of Scandinavia, also had a belief system rich in epic themes. To them, war and death on the battlefield were the swiftest paths to posthumous glory. They believed in Yggdrasil, the world tree, and in gods of stark contrast, Thor, the mighty god of thunder, Loki, the deceitful and treacherous god, and Odin, the one-eyed allfather obsessed with knowledge and heroic death. According to Norse mythology, at the apocalypse, known as Ragnarok, Loki would lead an uprising of monsters against the gods. His son, the wolf Fenrir, would devour the sun. The giant serpent Jörmungandr would kill Thor, and the world would be consumed by fire. Yet even in total destruction, the Norse sowed hope. The earth would be reborn, a new world would rise, and from it, two surviving humans, a man and a woman, would repopulate humanity. The Greeks, as we know, possessed one of the most complex and literary mythologies of the ancient world. Mother Earth Gaia gave birth to the sky god Uranus, and from their union came the Titans. But the Titans rebelled Cronus, one of them overthrew his father and took power. Later, Cronus himself was overthrown by his son Zeus, who inaugurated the reign of the 12 Olympian gods. Greek mythology was later adopted and reinterpreted by the Roman Empire under new names. As they expanded their territory, the Romans conquered many peoples and Romanized local beliefs. Zeus became Jupiter, Poseidon became Neptune, Hades became Pluto. The Romans also worshipped local deities, household gods, village protectors, similar to guardian spirit beliefs in Asia. They prayed at small altars, offered sacrifices, burned incense, and sought divine guidance in decisions big and small. In the 6th century BCE, the prophet Zoroaster founded one of the oldest surviving religions in human history, Zoroastrianism. Centered on absolute faith in the god of wisdom, Ahura Mazda, its teachings revolve around the eternal battle between good and evil. Ahura Mazda embodies light and justice, opposing Ahriman, the force of darkness and destruction. Believers hold that humans are granted free will to choose the path of righteousness or sin, yet they also believe it is their sacred duty to side with the light, to fight alongside the divine against the insidious spread of evil across the world. Around the same period on the Indian subcontinent, another religion was emerging from the fusion of many ancient beliefs, Hinduism. At its core is the endless cycle of cosmic rebirth, where time is not linear but cyclical, spinning like the wheel of life and death. All things are born, perish, and are reborn except one Brahman, the supreme soul of the universe, the inner essence within all existence. Every being, every object is but a different expression of Brahman. The three principal deities of Hinduism, Brahma creation, Vishnu preservation, and Shiva destruction, are seen as manifestations of Brahman's roles, maintaining balance and driving the cosmic order. Hinduism's vast scriptural corpus includes the Vedas, the Upanishads, and the epics, Mahabharata and Ramayana, rich with myth, philosophy, and profound moral teachings. According to Hindu belief, The human soul is bound in the cycle of samsara rebirth. The ultimate goal is moksha liberation unity with Brahman. To achieve this, one must live according to dharma, righteousness, virtue, and moral duty. Hinduism also divides society into four castes: the Brahmins, priests; the Kshatriyas, warriors and rulers; the Vaishyas, merchants and landowners; and the Shudras, laborers. The religion comprises three major sects: Vaishnavism, Shaivism, and Shaktism, each devoted to a central deity with distinct spiritual practices and philosophies. Also in the 6th century BCE in ancient India, a prince named Siddhartha Gautama renounced his throne in search of truth. Witnessing birth, aging, sickness, and death, he left his royal life, undertook ascetic practices, and meditated beneath the Bodhi tree until attaining enlightenment. From then on, he was called the Buddha, the enlightened one who founded Buddhism. He taught that to escape suffering, one must follow the middle way, shunning both indulgent desire and extreme asceticism. Buddhist teachings focus on three marks of existence: impermanence, suffering, and non-self. These truths are encapsulated in the Four Noble Truths, insights into suffering and the path to its cessation, with the fourth truth being the Eightfold Path leading to liberation. The Buddha's teachings were later compiled into the Tripitaka, the foundation of Theravada Buddhism, the oldest surviving Buddhist tradition. Its monks live ascetically, subsist on alms, and spread the Dharma with the ultimate goal of achieving nirvana, freedom from the cycle of rebirth. Around the 1st century BCE, Mahayana Buddhism flourished in India and spread widely to China, Korea, and Vietnam. Unlike the Theravada school, Mahayana emphasizes compassion, believing that the Buddha and Bodhisattvas remain in the world to save sentient beings. This is a school focused on universal salvation, expanding the path to enlightenment for everyone, not just monastics. Also around 2000 BCE, another religion quietly took root in the heart of the Middle East, Judaism. The history of this religion begins with Abraham, who obeyed the call of God and led his people to the promised land of Canaan. Over generations, from Isaac to Jacob, the 12 tribes of Israel were formed. The trials of history, from slavery in Egypt to the legendary Exodus under the prophet Moses, became foundational to Jewish religious and national identity. At Mount Sinai, Moses received the covenant, a sacred code recorded in the Torah, consisting of moral, civil, and religious commandments, guiding the Jewish people in building a righteous society. Throughout periods of exile and being ruled by Babylon and then Rome, the Jewish community steadfastly preserved its faith and identity, even while being scattered across the world. Orthodox Judaism later emerged, preserving the strictest traditions and viewing the Torah as the absolute center of faith, observing its laws with rigorous devotion in daily life. Today, over half of all Jewish believers belong to Orthodox Judaism, a religious branch that strictly upholds ancient teachings. After World War II, when the State of Israel was established, Orthodox Judaism was seen as a national religion, playing a central role in shaping the identity and religious life of this young nation. Christianity began with the appearance of an extraordinary figure named Jesus. According to Christian belief, Jesus is the Son of God, born to the Virgin Mary. Though a Jew by birth, he carried a mission that transcended ethnic boundaries, preaching love, compassion, and the path to the kingdom of God. The Bible recounts that Jesus performed many miracles, giving sight to the blind, raising the dead, walking on water. These extraordinary acts drew thousands of followers. He judged no one, whether Jew or Gentile, sinner or saint. Jesus accepted all with boundless compassion. Around the year 30 CE, Jesus was sentenced by the Roman authorities and crucified. But according to Christian tradition, 3 days later, he resurrected and ascended to heaven, returning to God. The Christian Bible is divided into two parts: the Old Testament, which records God's covenant with the Jewish people and aligns with the Torah, and the New Testament, which narrates the life, ministry, and teachings of Jesus. Initially, Christianity faced fierce persecution from both Jews and Romans. However, over time, this faith spread, gained tolerance, and by 380 CE became the official religion of the Roman Empire. The largest and oldest branch of Christianity is Roman Catholicism, founded by St. Peter in Rome in the 1st century. The Pope, regarded as St. Peter's successor, is considered the earthly representative of God and holds supreme authority over matters of faith. For Catholics, the Church's guidance is seen as the only path to salvation. At the same time, in ancient China, two philosophical traditions, Taoism and Confucianism, emerged, leaving a profound imprint on Eastern thought. Taoism was founded by Laozi, a mystical sage who authored the Tao Te Ching. Taoism teaches that the Tao is the ultimate principle of the universe, the flow that nourishes all things. The yin-yang symbol represents the Tao's balance within. Yin lies yang, within yang lies yin, creating an endless cycle. Taoism advocates for a life of wu-wei, meaning non-striving, non-contention, living in harmony with nature to attain serenity and happiness. Confucianism, founded by Confucius in the 6th century BCE, focuses on moral principles and social order. Its philosophy revolves around hierarchical relationships: ruler-subject, father-son, husband-wife, teacher-student. Each individual has a specific moral duty and social responsibility. Though containing ritualistic and spiritual elements, Confucianism is also viewed as a system of ethics, politics, and philosophy that helped sustain order in ancient East Asian societies. At the same time, in India, the monk Mahavira founded Jainism, a rigorous ascetic religion, with the belief that the soul can only be liberated from the cycle of rebirth by completely eliminating bad karma. Unlike Hinduism, Jainism does not worship gods. Its followers believe that it is human beings, not supernatural forces, who are the true masters of their own destiny. Followers of Jainism observe 5 vows: non-violence, truthfulness, non-stealing, celibacy, and renunciation of possessions and familial attachments. They maintain a strict vegetarian diet, live simply and ascetically, avoiding any actions that might harm living beings, with the hope that their souls may be liberated and merge into the eternal realm. As the world entered the medieval period, from the 5th to the 15th century, religious systems became more clearly defined with deeply rooted doctrines. Yet during this era, major religions continued to diversify, giving rise to new branches and sects. This reflects the richness and diversity of how humanity approaches and expresses spiritual belief, a journey that has never ceased throughout history. Amid the dark mists of the Middle Ages, a light emerged from the Arabian Peninsula. In the year 610, while meditating among the mountains, the Prophet Muhammad experienced a world-altering revelation. The angel Jibril, known in Christianity as Gabriel, appeared and delivered the first revelations from Allah the Almighty. For the next 22 years, Muhammad continued receiving sacred teachings from Jibril. He memorized every word and recited them to his disciples. From these revelations, Islam began to take form. By the mid-7th century, the messages were compiled into the Quran, a sacred text regarded by Muslims as the ultimate truth. The Quran does not merely instruct on worship, but encompasses all aspects of life: politics, marriage law, society, economics, and even personal hygiene, creating a comprehensive guide for believers. Although the Quran shares similarities with the Bible and the Torah, Muslims believe that those texts have been distorted, straying from the original pure meaning revealed by Allah. Thus, Islamic faith is firmly grounded in the 5 pillars: Shahada, declaring there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger; Salat, prayer; Zakat, charity; Psalm, fasting during Ramadan; and Hajj, pilgrimage to Mecca, at least once in a lifetime. After Muhammad's death, the Muslim community faced a critical question: who would succeed him? One group supported Abu Bakr, Muhammad's close friend and collaborator, who played a key role in compiling the Quran. This group became the Sunni sect. The other group supported Ali ibn Abi Talib, Muhammad's cousin and son-in-law, believing that only blood descendants were worthy of inheriting the prophetic mission. They became the Shia sect. From this division, Islam split into 2 main branches, which continue to exist to this day. In 1054, a historic rupture occurred, the Great Schism, which split Christianity into 2 main branches: Roman Catholicism in the West and Eastern Orthodoxy in the East, due to theological and political differences between the churches in Rome and Constantinople. While Catholicism emphasizes the authority of the Pope's salvation through divine grace and adherence to church doctrine, Eastern Orthodoxy values sacred rituals and holds that humanity is inherently good. The Orthodox tradition places great importance on the divine presence manifesting through symbols and the depth of religious ceremony. Buddhism continued to evolve, giving rise to distinctive schools such as Vajrayana Tantric Buddhism, which emerged in the 7th century. Vajrayana emphasizes sacred rituals, esoteric practices, and affirms that faith must be expressed outwardly through actions, gestures, and temple architecture. Unlike other schools that prioritize inner meditation, Vajrayana sees external expression as a crucial part of enlightenment. Meanwhile, Zen Buddhism, transmitted to China by Bodhidharma in the 6th century, focuses on the mind as its core. It disregards scriptures and complex rituals, guiding practitioners toward inner stillness, simple living, and the elimination of distractions. By the 12th century, Zen had spread to Japan, where it blended deeply with local culture, from flower arrangement, gardening, and poetry, to the tea ceremony, all aiming to cultivate a tranquil mind amid life's turbulence. Buddhism also thrived in Tibet, where the people deeply revere the lamas, spiritual leaders believed to possess the power of reincarnation. When a lama passes away, signs of his rebirth are carefully sought, and the child bearing those marks is chosen as his successor. Tibetan Buddhism is distinguished by its elaborate rituals, majestic monasteries, and vibrant attire, an enigmatic cultural identity unique to the Himalayas. In the 8th century, Shintoism became the official religion of Japan, based on the legend of the divine couple Izanagi and Izanami, who created the world. Shinto teaches that Kami's spiritual essence resides in all things, from mountains and trees to human ancestors. Followers worship Kami to connect with nature, history, and their national origins through solemn shrines or home altars. Meanwhile, in India, the Smarta tradition of Hinduism emerged, rooted in the non-dualistic philosophy of Vedanta, founded by the monk Adi Shankara. They worship Brahman, the supreme entity, and believe that all deities from Shiva and Vishnu to Ganesha are merely different aspects of Brahman. This view introduced a rare openness and inclusiveness to religious philosophy. From the 15th century onward, with the rise of the Renaissance rational philosophy and the Age of Enlightenment, religious authority began to face significant challenges. During the medieval era, the Bible was written only in Latin, a language understood solely by the elite. Ordinary people were forced to rely on the clergy to understand God's word, which gave the church immense spiritual, political, and economic power. However, by the 16th century, tensions reached a breaking point when the church began selling indulgences documents promising the forgiveness of sins in exchange for money. Outraged by this practice, a German monk named Martin Luther took action. After studying the Bible, he concluded that salvation comes from faith, not from wealth. He wrote 95 theses challenging the church and posted them on the door of a cathedral, marking the beginning of the Protestant Reformation. With the support of the printing press, his ideas spread like wildfire, awakening millions of believers across Europe. Martin Luther declared that only the Bible is the ultimate truth, and every person has the right to reach God directly without needing the church as an intermediary. After Martin Luther's 95 Theses were published, his followers broke away from the Roman Catholic Church, forming the Protestant branch, a religious reform movement with profound influence. European kingdoms, eager to free themselves from papal control, quickly supported this movement. As a result, Protestantism spread rapidly, later branching into numerous sects, all sharing one goal: to resist the absolute authority of the Roman Catholic Church. In 1520, the Lutheran Church was officially established. Its members remained loyal to Luther's teachings, believing that the Bible is the sole source of truth and that only pure faith can draw the soul closer to God. Just a few decades later, in 1534, King Henry VIII of England requested the Pope's permission to divorce his wife Catherine. When denied, he severed ties with Catholicism and founded the Church of England, ushering in a wave of deep reform in the country. In the 17th century, George Fox founded the Quaker movement, a religion that rejected rituals and priesthood, placing trust in direct salvation through the inner light, the belief that every person can feel the presence of God. Quakers opposed war, refused to participate in legal systems, and lived by a principle of absolute peace. Also in the 17th century, Thomas Helwys founded the Baptist denomination. Unlike other sects that baptized infants, Baptists only baptize adults who willingly profess their faith. They believed the Bible was the sole and highest authority. By 1830, Joseph Smith claimed that an angel guided him to discover and translate the Golden Plates, later known as the Book of Mormon, the foundational scripture of the Mormon faith. Mormons believe in modern-day prophets and live a life of purity, abstaining from alcohol, tobacco, coffee, and even perform baptisms on behalf of the deceased. In 1872, the Jehovah's Witnesses were established, rejecting the doctrine of the Holy Trinity. They do not view Jesus as God incarnate, but instead worship only one deity, Jehovah. They live with the belief that the kingdom of heaven will manifest here on earth. Within the Jewish community in 1885, the Reform movement emerged with the belief that the Torah was not directly written by God, but was a collective product of individuals inspired by Him. This branch promotes flexibility, adapting religious laws to fit the modern age, while discarding outdated regulations. In response to this liberalization, the conservative movement was founded in 1887, aiming to preserve traditional values. While believing the Torah is divine, they allowed for more open interpretation, striking a balance between tradition and modernity. Meanwhile, in India, during the 15th century, Sikhism was founded by Guru Nanak. Originally a Hindu, he grew disillusioned with the complexity of rituals and gradually moved toward a pure faith based on divine revelation. According to Sikhism, living a moral life and remaining true to one's ideals leads to liberation from the cycle of rebirth. Every Sikh is both a saint and a warrior serving God while defending justice. They do not perform pilgrimages or offerings, but instead live virtuously and serve their community as the true path to God's favor. Enduring through thousands of years of ups and downs, from the bloody crusades to controversial reforms, religion has remained a spiritual pillar of humanity. While many philosophies, regimes, wars, and legal systems have been replaced or collapsed, religion still endures, with more than 85% of the world's population today adhering to some form of faith. One day, in the dizzying pace of modern society, religion might fade into a distant memory, but it is very likely that it will never truly disappear, because humans from ancient times to the present have always needed something to believe in order to survive. Thank you for staying with us until the very end. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Did You Know YouTube channel.